to the American people and to the world. The United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda.
Got a house down a back road, I got a flag on the front porch, I got a dog named Waylon, I got a driveway that needs paving.
Good morning and welcome back to the 4333 The Hawk podcast here. We're shooting live from our studio here in Memphis. We just like to do a quick moment of silence for the victims from 9/11. And with that being said, we'd like to jump right into some fantasy football this week. Kind of what we got on the docket for the podcast this week. We're going to go through some reactions to week one by all of us. We're going to go through some big major injury news, little AB action, coming back from suspension, potentially some good pickups we saw, some questionable pickups we saw, some matchups for the week. We're going to go obviously the matchup of the week. We're going to then go through our boom or bust players, a couple questions from our fans, a couple questions we have maybe for the commissioner. We'll also have a special guest. But I do want to bring in my co-hosts now. We're going to be calling him Stiffy from now on. We heard our viewers, and we're responding.
We are men of the people.
And also you hear a new name too, United State of Comerica.
Interesting choice.
Welcome.
Great name choice. What only winner in the house this week?
I was going to just lead in with that. How are we feeling, boys, after week one?
You know?
Maybe another moment of silence.
For ties.
America, do you want to start us off here?
You know, I'm very happy for winning. Lost a couple receivers this week. Obviously not really good, but Monday night was a fun game. If it had to happen to anyone, I would, it should have been Doc. So I think we all can agree on that.
Taking down the champ.
Yeah, taking down the champ. I forgot he won last year. I forgot we lived in the past on this podcast here. But, I'm pretty happy about it. Mike, Shroot Farms. Sorry, I don't think you introduced yourself as Shroot Farms.
Right, Shroot Farms is here. Can't even talk today. But yeah, not a great week from the Farms. We didn't put up many points. We were still in the game though come Monday night, and that's all you can ask for.
No, nothing else. Ty, what do you think? How do you think you went?
I'm happy with the squad.
Okay.
If we're getting right to it, Matt Bryant, you cost me. You hurt. And Matt Patricia, that call was dog shit on that timeout. Those two things alone, they cost Stiffy the game. And it hurts, but at least I lost an opponent that put up a very, very respectable score.
You lost a respectable opponent. Wow. Me, on the other hand...
not really.
Yeah, if you're going to lose, I'd rather lose a good score and a good opponent.
Well, and those are the weeks you kind of need to win.
Okay, hold on. We're talking about Downs, right?
Yep. I do respect that team. He has a good squad this year. Didn't think I'd say it, but Downs, shout out to you.
I think there was a couple of teams that gained my respect after week one. One being the touchdowns, the other being just another name change, which we need to stop in the league. Little Dicky, I think, kind of decided to show up.
He's got a good squad. Jackson coming in clutch at the quarterback, 33, and I don't believe he took a snap in that second half. Sanders, pretty happy to see a 20 out of him overall. Little Dicky coming in clutch.
I think we're overreacting a little bit to the couple teams here, but hey, that's just my opinion.
Oh.
What do you do?
What team would you go with then, America?
Downs for sure. Oh, I mean that with all
so
due
we
respect.
all are on the same.
And by the way, to our viewers, we're going to have a special guest host in Little Dicky Baller coming on later in the show.
Stay tuned.
Lamar Jackson, not legit in my opinion. Antonio Brown, if we have
very
heard,
legit.
He's legit, but he kind of maybe possibly sexually assaulted a chick earlier in the week, but that's nothing. Right. Watkins, obviously, you gotta wait and see on how week one was legit or not.
Oh.
But it's just more like I just have a lot of good, like we said, there's a lot of players with good offenses. It seems like, so I think week one might have been fluky. I think that Downs' team's a little bit more balanced overall.
Yes, his team surprised me. Looking at the touchdowns roster coming into the year, I kind of had some questions about, but then I realized this team actually has some decent depth to it. When you're looking at his bench, Derrick Henry's sitting on his bench.
Which was a bold play.
Is he going to move him?
I don't know. When we should have Downs on the show and get his opinion on that.
Touchdowns, if you're listening, maybe next week we reach out to you.
Make an appearance. Well, those are kind of just our quick reactions to week 1. What we do want to do each week, which, if we like the segment, we'll stick with it. If not, we'll probably go somewhere else. We're going to go through like our own MVPs of the week, so who we thought made a big impact on a matchup. So one specific player that we thought made an impact on the matchup that kind of pushed a team over the edge in fantasy, obviously, and then kind of our one dud of the week. Now, this doesn't have to be someone that screwed the team over. Maybe it ended up doing that, but it's just someone that didn't perform. So we'll start with Comerica first on his MVP.
My MVP of the week was on my own team, which makes me seem a little biased, but we are unbiased here at 4-3-3. The Hawk. Missed that 3 in there, but in terms of like the overall, like he won the matchup for me with that last touchdown drive. I actually had kind of given up, thinking that the Saints were going to run out the rest of the clock, but he got down the field in 2 plays and basically won the matchup for me with that last touchdown. So, I mean, it's kind of plain and simple on that one.
Kind of a good MVP in my opinion. Mine's from my own matchup as well. Once again, very unbiased here at the Hawk. But DeAndre Hopkins, now obviously it didn't go in my favor, but with that matchup being so close going into Monday night, DeAndre Hopkins came into the game and did what he needed to do. That's what a stud player should do each week. And you want your stud going into Monday Night Football when you need a couple scores, and that's what he gave newcomer. So mine would be DeAndre Hopkins. Who does Stiffy?
I think this one, very surprised with his availability and his yardage overall. I'm going with Eckler out of the dirty LA. Looking at his stats, a 40 bomb nearly. He wins by 5 points. That guy carried the team. His back has got to be hurting for team tracks. With a 5 bomb from your quarterback, very clutch to have.
And kind of the upset of the week, maybe.
Maybe.
I think tracks might have been the upset of the week.
Yeah, I think so.
I think other than that, I mean, no one was really pulling for me, and I didn't really expect to win. If I would have won, probably would have been the upset of the week. But I think tracks would have taken the upset of the week if we had to pick one. Next, we want to do the dud of the week. Someone that didn't show up. Someone that maybe could have done a little bit more.
And we're not counting injuries.
Not counting injuries, even though I think maybe next week we might include injuries, because sometimes that could screw someone over, including your matchup with Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
We're obviously not picking him. But who does Stiffy have for that dud of the week?
Yeah, at first I had a different guy. I'm looking more through this. Yes, he got the win, but very suspect performance by Sony Michel. 15 attempts for 14 yards.
Right.
0 catches.
And a 33-3 blowout.
Right.
Very surprised he wasn't getting more yardage on the ground, or at least a couple more catches. But that's my guy on the week.
I like the verbiage there, the suspect, because that was kind of a suspect play. Yeah. I mean, Patriots are winning. You expect him to get a lot of usage. He did get his 15 carries, but did next to nothing when the Patriots, the rest of their team, were putting up numbers. I like that. Well, my dud of the week was on the Rick Rangers team. Mike Evans kind of was hoping for a bigger performance from a bigger named player. He 2 catches for 28 yards, did next to nothing. And if he does put up bigger numbers, I think that gives obviously the Rick Rangers a bigger.
Did have an illness though.
Right, and we were questioning that coming in. What was that illness? Usually most players play through that. Clearly it did affect Mr. Evans quite a bit more than we thought.
Comerica, what are you thinking here?
I'm thinking Big Ben Roethlisberger is my dud of the week. By the way, honorable mention for MVP Lamar Jackson in the same match I'm talking about right now with 33.6. But anyway, continuing, Big Ben dropping 9.7. I think basically that whole Sunday night game really kind of put a big damper on the matchup. I think it basically put Mr. Pump and Dump out of reach. In a normal game where Big Ben's trailing, he maybe could put up a 30 bomb, which would have won him the game. So I think that overall, that's probably the biggest dud of the week, in my opinion.
I agree. That could be probably the biggest one, especially from a quarterback.
From a quarterback,
you can put up more points than most guys. Now we are doing PPR this year, so obviously the position players do score quite a bit more. But from a quarterback, typically when your quarterback doesn't put up a lot of points, you're going to see a good chance that you're going to take the L that week as a fantasy team.
I like that term you use, take the L.
Take the L. I like the suspect term as well. We might coin that here and trademark that on the podcast. The Hawk.
The Hawk.
The suspect. We might go with a segment, the suspect play of the week. but we're still kind of working through some kinks on that.
We're still learning.
Now we're gonna go transition from that into the major injuries after week 1. Comerica's kind of our specialist on injuries. He's kind of plugged into most of the teams here. We're gonna swing over to him quick on a couple of big injuries after week 1. What do we got?
Okay, so starting with my team, Tyreek Hill out 4 to 6 weeks. It looks like that's what they reported today, with basically a dislocated collarbone. Mike Williams hurt his knee as well and is not expected to play this week. Same team with the Chargers. Hunter Henry with a broken, I believe, kneecap. Is that what was brought up?
Did that happen in practice?
That happened in the game.
Okay.
Because I remember during the game he did come off for a little bit, but he came right back in and played through it. But it's apparently with his knee. Joe Mixon was also a big injury that we can also kind of throw in with Connor Johnson's matchup lost by 17 with only 3.7. Right. I think that was a big factor. Same with the same team, Darius Geis. Looks like he's missed multiple weeks with a meniscus injury. Is there any other big ones I'm missing? No,
those were kind of the biggest ones I think that are going to affect at least our league going into this next week. I think the biggest ones by far, Poe top, Colin bottom, is losing kind of potentially both of his running backs after just week 1.
Two of his three.
Two of the three.
He does have Gio Bernard on the bench.
Right.
And Gio Bernard was a top 6 fantasy running back, which I heard on a different podcast today that he was a top 6 running back last year when Mixon didn't play.
Right.
So that's not much of a drop off, but he will, like I said, obviously, his team kind of start off 1-1. It doesn't help obviously with the 2 injuries.
No, exactly. But other than that, the other thing we want to touch on, not an injury obviously, but is Antonio Brown news. What are kind of our initial reactions to that? First, the signing with the Patriots, and then second, the allegations that just came out.
I think was he cut after our last podcast?
He was.
Yes.
Saturday. So he was cut on that Saturday. Later signed by the Patriots. I think that overall, I don't think his value changes much going to the Patriots, in my opinion, because I think they have so many mouths to feed, and obviously it's a new offensive system. He's going to be learning in a couple of weeks, obviously, as opposed to a whole off season. I don't. If I had to guess, I'm assuming with the new allegations he's not going to play this week. I don't think he's going to even play this week to begin with. I think there's a good chance that he could be placed on the exempt list.
Yeah.
More likely, and I think that could really affect Mr. Lil Dicky Baller.
I agree. Now, do you think they're going to use him? Watching the game on Sunday night, we were seeing Julian Edelman go across the middle, multiple plays, just wide open. Is that Antonio Brown stepping in to do that, or does Julian Edelman's role stay the same?
I think it stays the same. I think it'll stay the same, and then it'll be Brown and Gordon on the outside, and then Edelman play the slot. At least that's my guess.
Which makes that team pretty scary.
That's a scary team. Cush Gordon will be greatly affected and impacted by having Antonio Brown over
I know
there.
that hurts you really, really bad.
Well, I do see Antonio going off, but Cush Gordon, that's big for him. His stock just went up, so if you have him, consider trading him.
Who's got that Cush?
Who's got the dirty Cush?
Shout out to the Cush.
Any other thoughts on Mr. Host over there?
I'm kind of with everyone else. I think it's going to affect some of the Patriots players. They're such a good offense, though. I think he just kind of slides in there. Because they had Gronk last year. A lot of the targets are going to Gronk, but most of the big name players on the Patriots still put up good numbers. So I think it affects the Patriots, but I think Antonio Brown, as far as with everything that's going on with him, I don't think we're going to see him maybe for a couple weeks, but it's been weird. Maybe we see him Sunday.
Yeah.
You just never really know. Other than that, though, I don't think we really need to spend that much more time on Antonio Brown. Kind of is what it is. He's going to play most likely sometime this year. It just so happens now he's on the Patriots, not the Raiders. So kind of our last thoughts on injuries, pickups, or not pickups, but Antonio Brown. We're going to go right into pickups then. We're going to kind of do this each week. We'll go through kind of what we thought on everyone's pickups of the week. Sometimes there's not going to be a lot of pickups in our league. This week, obviously, after week 1, people sometimes overreact. They panic a little bit, try to make some pickups. I'm staring kind of at Comerica right now. I'm going to give him a second here to defend kind of a couple of his pickups.
Yes.
Okay. 2 things. Number 1, I lost my number 1 receiver and possibly my number 2 receiver for an extended period of time. So I had absolutely no choice but to go after these top receivers. Part number 2 about it, I don't think people need to freak out about them. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I did overspend on McLaurin. I will admit that.
Way
I don't think I overspent on Ross. I think Ross was going to go in the 30s. But anyway, continuing, the best pickups, especially like in this age where everyone's like so connected with fantasy football and everyone's talking about it, like all the people that are like kind of like sleepers or like handcuffs are already kind of owned, which is different from years past where it was like if an injury happened there would be someone out there to grab. That doesn't really happen that much anymore. Like for example, Connor gets hurt, Deion Sanders is owned. Joe Mixon gets hurt, Gio Bernard's already owned.
Aaron Jones,
Jones, Williams. Kind of a step down from what I was talking about, but you guys get the point. Week 1, I believe, is when, at this point, like in what fantasy football is all about, is the best week to pick up people. And like a good example is last year, the top 2 pickups in our league specifically were Lindsey and Kittle, and they were both in week 1.
I did both.
And that is an unbiased take here.
That is an unbiased take at
4-3-3-3.
I got the numbers kind of mixed up. Honestly, I am desperate, and I think it's just more, like I said, like with my team. I put up 120 basically with nothing on my receivers or my defense or my kicker, so I think if I could establish just one of those receiver spots with one of the guys I picked up, that would really help a lot, just till Hill comes back.
When I look at it on paper, right away, I'm thinking I don't love the money spent on Comerica's 2 players. I'm not happy with it. Nearly $80. I don't think it's smart in a sense, but it's also smart. You got to win now. This fantasy league, trust me, this is going to be a biased
It'll
take.
eat you alive.
It'll eat you alive if you don't
get left behind.
Don't get left behind. You got to focus on the games ahead of you. And I don't like spending $80 on 2 players, but Comerica's got no receivers. He needs them. He needs the points. And so for that, it's a win now league. You can't wait until Tyreek Hill gets back. You can't wait and just hope that your guys get healthy or your bench players perform. So I love the pickups in a sense that he's got to win. I hate him as far as the money spent. I think it works out well for him now.
Right.
Mike, what do you think?
When I'm looking at it too here, a couple other pickups. Now everyone kind of went instantly to your pickups, obviously. Whoa, we spent a lot of money. I've done that in the past here.
I'm going to bring up a good example of this. David Johnson went down a few years ago, and my dog spent $65.
Yeah, I think
on
it was
Kerwin Williams, and he was not on his roster.
And I'll admit it, I'm guilty of this. I'm sure a lot of people don't want to admit that either. But I'm sitting there making my pickups the night before, and I put maybe 30 down on them. Then I'm laying in bed, I'm like, oh, maybe someone put 33, so I go up to 40.
And that's literally what I was sitting there like all day. It was just like especially with like McLaurin, I was like, I don't know who knows about him overall. Like in terms of like ESPN and CBS, they all have his number 1 wide receiver pickup. So overall, it was kind of like I didn't know who knew about him or who was gonna be like bidding on him. So it was like as the day went along, it started at 20, and slowly it worked its way up to 40, which I think may have been too much overall, but what do you do?
And I'm sometimes sitting in bed, I'm like tossing and turning, I'm like, okay, it's 50 too much, then I drop another 10, I'm like, maybe someone else has them for 70, so you just gotta play it safe.
You get a White Claw on you, and that,
by the way, I want to plug our sponsor, White Claw. This Hawks Claw is white.
Well,
I like
that. Tie in there, the other sponsor, Late at Night, Hub.
We'll tie that in here. They do sponsor quite a bit. They do provide a lot for the show. But what we're going to do here next is we're going to go to our matchups of the week, as we're going to do each week. We do now have, I just can confirm, we do have our guest on the phone.
And he is being sponsored today by Kharkov. Remember, kids, if you don't black out, you aren't doing it right.
And now we're going to introduce our guest. Actually, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves. Guest on the line, can you hear us?
Yeah, barely.
Maybe some bad connection here. Could be the Wi-Fi. Are we coming in a little bit clearer here, little Dicky?
I can't hardly hear shit.
Little Dicky, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay,
it's
perfect.
Stiffy on this show, but yes.
It's Stiffy.
Yep, I'm glad we got that. We just want to make sure we have the connection here.
So what we're going to do now, most of the fans of the show kind of know how we go through this. We're going to run through each matchup. We're going to give a take kind of what we like in this matchup, and then we're going to obviously at the end of the day pick who we have to win it. So we'll go around the table. We'll get also Lil Dicky's opinion on it. He's going to pick a winner as well in each matchup. First matchup we're looking at here, we're staying in the house, so it's going to be Schrute versus Comerica. I wanted to start that one off right away. Ben is going to start with his initial thoughts on that. He'll pick a winner as well.
Well, here's my thing. You got to play the opponent, not the team. I am notoriously pretty bad at playing Mike in this league. I got roundhouse by him the last, actually like 2 seasons. I think I went 0-2 2 seasons ago and 0-1 last season when I made the playoffs. Overall, I think the keys are going to just be, I think, again, the Packers players playing Minnesota. If they can perform against a tough defense, they didn't perform last week. They kind of cost you the game, in my opinion. That'll be the key for your team. Key for my team, I think, will just be how those receivers I just kind of picked up play, I guess, because I think the rest of my team with Kamara, Kelsey, and Watson are all going to perform as they usually do. But I'm going to pick. I can't pick against myself against Schrute. I'm going to pick myself winning 135-101. In a blowout.
A big blowout.
That's wow. Very interesting take there. Dickie, what was that?
Yikes.
He does not like that. Not a fan of that selection. Looking at it, matchup-wise, I think Kelsey, he's the one that wins this game. He's going to go at John Gruden's throat. But the big thing that determines this game is Aaron Rodgers. Mike Zimmer's got that man on lockdown. Or he controls him, I will say. He doesn't keep him on lockdown. He's going to get his, relatively speaking. I look at this matchup as a 115-111 United States of Comerica.
So that's 2 for Comerica now. I'll give my quick take on this. I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. Obviously, I'm projected like 110, so obviously I need it to be a little not high scoring. But at the end of the day, yeah, obviously the Packers players against the Vikings, not a great matchup again. I did move Aaron Jones out of the lineup. Don't think he's going to do anything on the ground. But when I'm looking at this matchup, it is that Kelsey thing. I think he's projected 20 points this week. I think if he hits that number or goes a little bit higher, that's going to give Comerica the win. But if we're looking at that and he only scores, 10, 11, couple catches, no touchdowns, I think that'll lean more in my direction. I will pick Comerica. Seems like the popular pick. I'm going to go, though, like 108-97. I think I failed to crack 100 again this week. We'll pass her over to Lil Dicky and see who he's got.
Lil Dicky, you are on the mic. Let's see what we got here.
I don't know if you know me, I'm the king of the hot takes. And I actually think this is one of the closer matches we're going to see this week. I am a big believer with guys going down. I think Chris Thompson has a nice game. Kevin Coleman's banged up. Matt Breida's looking like he's going to get a lot of good touches. And you got to think, as much as I want to think the Minnesota D's going to try to knock down Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, man, there's just no way they're having back-to-back 4 weeks. Amari's playing Washington on that sorry D. The biggest question in this matchup is how healthy is Mike Williams and Smith-Schuster going to be? I do give the edge to Comerica. I do think Watson's poised for another big game. Like you said, Kelsey's always scary. I think it's a closer game than you think, and I'm giving you more credit than you deserve here, Scrooge. I think it's a high-scoring matchup, actually. I think it's about 122 to 128 in favor of Comerica this week.
Okay, I like the praise on my team. I do see some of those. I was thinking the same thing with Chris Thompson as well. I could see them getting blown out. That's what kind of the word around the league is. Chris Thompson getting six or seven catches. Kind of what a Tariq Cohen did last week with the Packer-Bears matchup. But I like the praise, but we do have 4-0, so we'll see after this matchup going in.
On their team. Love that.
Right. From that matchup, we'll stay in the division. I like to kind of keep obviously the division picks together. So that would be then the matchup of Drogans against Newcomer. Stiffy.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to look at this one in the sense that Newcomer, I can't buy that team. Although I do love Hopkins, I can't support a team that's coming in with Robbie Anderson starting at their flex. Austin Hooper. I do like the DJ Moore, and that is a shout out to Lil Dicky, our guest, who did say that DJ Moore, he could be something this year. He's gonna have a good year. But I'm
gonna correct you real quick and say that was Curtis Samuel.
That's why we got him on.
That's why we got him tuned in. I'm gonna go with Droggins. That Oakland defense will be crucified by Pat Mahomes. Leonard Fournette will be stuffed, but Diggs is going off. Calvin Ridley, he's going to get his sloppy touchdown with Matt Ryan. I'm definitely going to go with Droggins. I'm going to send this one at actually a lower scoring affair. I'm going to go 110 to 102. Newcomer is going to take that L.
Big L. I'll go next here. Okay, I don't actually mind Newcomer's team. I think Sony Michel, if he scores a touchdown or two, he's going to be fine. He needs to obviously rack up some yards, but I don't see any catches really for Sony Michel with James White, Rex Burkhead there.
Yep.
But I do like that Zeke and Hopkins combination. DJ Moore, I think, will have a good year as well. I'm kind of questioning the Robbie Anderson play as well. If this was maybe 2 years ago, I'm all over that. But I do think this team, I don't know, at the end of the day, is not horrible. I don't think it's one of the better teams in the league. But what I do see then, specifically to this matchup, same thing kind of with Pat Mahomes. I think he puts up 30 this week, not a problem. I think we do see more David Montgomery this week as well. Yeah. I think the Bears are going to decide to use him a little bit more. Kind of control the game tempo more than they did last week against the Pack. A little less Tariq Cohen, a little more David Montgomery this week. Given the edge to Dragons in this, Dragons, however you want to pronounce that team's name, I'm going 123 for Dragons, Newcomer at 107. What do you got, Comerica?
I'm going to go bold on this one. I think this actually kind of can be a shootout, and I'm saying this basically because obviously Zeke shreds Washington in his career. Michelle is playing Miami, so I think they're going to be controlling the game the majority of the time, and he has run all over Miami the last 2 years. He's only been in the year for 1 year, so last year he ran all over Miami. DeAndre against the Rams you don't love, but DeAndre's an animal. He'll find a way to get his points. Robbie Anderson obviously is a little suspect, like we said. Back to that word.
That's a stick man. Apple cinnamon man.
I think that the key to this matchup is going to be Mahomes. I think Mahomes, obviously, he's going to have to put up 30 plus, I think, for Doc, in my opinion, to have a chance in this one, because I just don't see his team doing his team got a few fluky touchdowns last week to kind of keep it close with me, in my opinion. So I'm actually going to go Newcomer in this one, 110 to 106.
And we will swing it over to Dickie. Dickie, who do you got in that matchup?
Oh, this is a tough one because I hate Doc. It's really hard. I totally agree with you. The Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore play, both those guys just inconsistent. DJ Moore's got a lot of talent. Robbie Anderson does too. But over in New York, they're still trying to figure out the offense. So I actually looked at Newcomer's bench. I see Cortland Sutton, and he is just. He put up a really good week, and I think he needs to go in. If he puts him in over Robbie Anderson, that could be a scary lineup. I see Sony Michel. That Miami defense is fine. It looks like a JV team out there. Honestly, we had a positive game script this last week, though, and we saw Rex, the fantasy, monster, Burkhead come out and take a bunch of touches away. I don't think they do that this week. I think Sony Michel bounces back. But like you guys said, I totally agree. Patrick Mahomes, people are dropping 40 points, 30, 40 points this week. That Oakland team looked average versus Joe, Flacco. Come on. Come on.
Dirty Flacco.
T.Y. Hilton, he found the end zone. That dude scored, 6-7 touchdowns a year? That's, I can't help but think that he's not going to, score every week. Vance McDonald looks sorry with that Pittsburgh D or offense. I don't know. I'm actually going to go Newcomer as well. I think Zeke comes back, has a big week. He was on a snap count last week. I don't think they have that. I think the rain's off a little bit. Austin Hooper looked nice. I'm going Newcomer with a score of 117 to 106.
Okay. Also, a key to that matchup, too, that I'm looking at it now, too, watch that Chicago's Bear D on Newcomer. They're against Denver. I mean, I'm thinking like 7 or 8 sacks there, potentially. And Denver's offense, suspect.
I don't know. Denver's record at home, in home openers is like the best in like the league the last like 20 years.
That is an official
Put
stat.
it on the board.
Put it on the board.
That goes to part of our sponsorship with an individual called Matthew Berry. He does help out with our analyst here, Mr. Comerica.
Where should we go next, Mr. Host?
Next one we're going to here, we're kind of amping it up here. We're going to obviously keep Little Dickie's matchup to the end here. So we're going to Pump and Dump versus Team Tracks. Now, Pump and Dump coming off of a tough loss after week 1. Kind of one of those games where if this team, Pump and Dump, falls to 0-2, that's tough in that division. So we're going to start with Comerica. Give us a hot take on this matchup and give us your winner.
Hot take on this one. I think this is going to be the closest matchup of the week. I think till Melvin Gordon eventually decides to show up. I think Eckler, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be just a beast in that offense. I think the main key to this matchup is obviously if James Conner and that Pittsburgh offense can wake up against Seattle. They did get kind of torched by Andy Dalton last week, so I think that provides a little bit of hope. Kind of suspect defensive starts, which on both ends, at Green Bay for the Vikings D and at the Rams for the Saints D. Don't know if that's going to change, but I think that could be like a thing we're looking at where like, oh, if I would have started a different defense, I would have won for both sides here. So, but I'm going to go in this matchup, Pump and Dump, 115 to 114.3. A very close matchup.
Pump and Dump taking it.
Yep, right? Pump and Dump taking it. Yep.
Stiffy? I know we've been waiting for this hot take all day.
I was thinking about this teaching the children today. I think this is a damn good matchup. I like the position players going head to head. I think Cam Newton bounces back hard against that Tampa defense. He is going to put on a 30-point show. Devontae Freeman's a big question mark for me on Team Tracks. And on Pump and Dump, it's Dalvin Cook. I think he performs against that Green Bay defense. I'm a little concerned just if he can keep up what he did last week. Nonetheless, I think you're going to see a touchdown show by Team Tracks. A little bit by Pump and Dump. I'm going to go with a 135 to 128 for Team Tracks.
Tracks going 2-0.
That's a bold pick.
I love that. I'm going to stay kind of on that.
We got Dickie. Dickie's not approving of that.
Dickie's not liking that at all. I think people don't like Team Tracks team because when you look at it, it's like, okay, doesn't look the greatest on paper. Not a huge fan of Freeman. I love Eckler, obviously, with Gordon out. Odell's going to do his thing. Damian Williams maybe didn't get the most yards week 1, but, I mean, he's going to find the end zone. He's going to get his touches in the receiving game. He'll get a handful of carries.
Andy Reid.
Chiefs players score a boatload of points regardless of who. I mean, now they have a cakewalk of a game against Oakland, obviously, that defense. But I do think at the end of the day, Pump and Dump's team is better. When you're looking at it from top to bottom, there's not a huge weak spot in this team. John Brown, we'll see what he does. O.J. Howard, can he do anything? That's a Thursday night game, too. Sometimes Thursday night games are a little one-sided.
Yep.
But I am going to stick with Pump and Dump in this. I think Ben Roethlisberger puts up at least double digits this week. I think Pump and Dump goes 125, Tracks like 110.
That was a very bold pick by you, dog. Nice.
And swinging it over Dickie. What do we got here? What are the keys to this matchup?
Even though your prediction was 50, I like it, though. I like it. Looking at this team, man, like you said, Cam's poised to bounce back. Tampa Bay is sorry all around, just offensively, defensively. Just the only thing there that's good is air, and that's not worth much for scoring. Devonta Freeman, he's just going to get the ball more. They didn't give him the ball much. I think they were worried about injuries. I think they saw that it worked out. I mean, Eckler, he ain't going to – there's no way he's jumping 40 each week. But one big thing, the hottest take here is if you look – Odell Beckham Jr., I think he's going to have a monster game. If you look, I mean, the Bills played them and John Brown went on. Dude, John Brown compared to Odell, absolute hate, dude.
That's a coin
Looking at the
word.
rosters here, I think one person to take a look at that might give Tracks a big advantage. If you put Kush Gordon in the lineup, man, especially if AD is not playing this week, that could be huge. Another big game, maybe, especially versus Miami. Early, get a couple long touchdowns. I'm not a fan of Damian Williams play. I thought, watching that McCoy played better. If he had McCoy on the bench, I don't know who's going to be more better for fantasy. Big Ben, he's got to, like Mike said, if he hits double digits, maybe. He always starts slow, but just how slow is he going to start this year? Connor, you want to say he's going to bounce back, but he's playing Seattle, and they have an amazing run D. Getting more guys this offseason and stuff. I don't know. I think I gotta go Team Tracks again. Like you guys have been saying, I just don't think that Pump and Dump really has it. He doesn't have the big trades from Downs to help out his roster yet this year. I gotta go Team Tracks 128 to Pump and Dump 108.
Oh.
Pump and Dump falls to 0-2.
Oh.
The backbreaker. Well, we're going to next is the bin, the recycling bin. A team that's very, very high in confidence, which well deserved the touchdowns. I'll start actually on this matchup. I think the touchdowns, correct me if I'm wrong, is projected maybe the most this week, 127. Did we see one that was more than that?
They are the highest right now, yes.
And some takes, I guess, in my opinion on this. First of all, the touchdowns, as we talked earlier in the show, very impressive start to the season. And I think he continues that this week. I think even Adam Thielen maybe gets more. He had 3 catches maybe last week. I could see
3 for
30 and a TD. I think I could see Adam Thielen going 7 for 100 and a TD this week, which makes this team even more scary.
Against your team, right?
If Jair locks down Thielen, if he's on him all game, I don't see that. But Thielen does play in the slot a lot. You could see a big game out of Adam Thielen. Really, when you look at, I hate to say it, but the touchdowns team, what's his biggest weak spot when you're looking at his starting lineup right now? Is it Alshon Jeffrey maybe? If Tyrell Williams can do his thing, I don't really see a big weak spot in here. Even Tom Brady at Miami, he's going to throw 3 touchdowns maybe. Now going to the recycling bins, after we're talking of the touchdowns team so much, I think recycling bin too. I like a couple of his matchups this week as far as Michael Thomas against the LA Rams. I think that game's going to be a shootout. I think he's going to have his 7 or 8 catches. I could see a big touchdown there as well. But then other than that, he's got my boy Raheem Mostert, I believe, or Mustard, however you want to pronounce it, in the starting lineup. Hopefully he gets some touches there. I could see that being the one weak spot kind of on this team other than Danny Amendola. Don't really know. Some of these guys that have big week ones, what are they going to do week 2? Some just put up duds. Some guys keep the trend going. This one, though, I'm sticking with the touchdowns. I think he puts up 140. I think Recycling Bin's going to keep her close, but I think it's about a 140 to 127 game touchdowns.
Woofed up.
Wooey. Okay.
America, you want to go or you want me to go?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go
aggressive.
I'm going to go for Downs here as my winner here. Maybe not as much of a points as you're saying, if you're saying right here, just because I just think that we're overreacting a little bit to Tyrell Williams. I think that offense by the end of the year is going to be very, very bad. I think they came out just guns blazing to start the year. I do like Alshon Jeffrey, like you said too, but there's so many mouths to feed in that offense. But overall, love Le'Veon. I think Thielen has torched Green Bay throughout his career, especially in Green Bay too. I think that's just the keys to the matchup. If you can just get that balance, have just a few guys go for their typical 15 to 20 points. On the other hand, I think David Johnson playing Baltimore is just the key here. I don't see him doing much against that great defense. So with that in mind, I think this is actually kind of a blowout. 115 to, I'm gonna say 87.
Ouch. Whenever a team's not putting up 100 in PPR, ouch.
I'm saying this about Prim. I'm not expecting Mark Andrews to get 8 catches again, and I'm not expecting anything out of Wilson or Mostert. So basically, all your points are going to come from David Johnson, Michael Thomas, and Julio. Those 3 combined can put up
which
70,
is to be expected.
Which is to be expected, but I think that's really all going to be all his points this week is those 3. So.
Well, I'm gonna make this short and sweet here. I look at the matchup. I don't see any player matchup that I would really take on Recycling Bin aside from, I think Julio's getting, bold prediction, Julio's getting outscored by Tyrell Williams this week because Tyrell Williams is going to have some passing against that Kansas City team. They're going to be down. We know that. He's outscoring Julio. Michael Thomas is the only one that I give a slight edge against Adam Thielen, possibly. But we know Big Dick Thielen shows up against Green Bay. With that, I'm going an absolute homicide. I mean, I'm going 130 to 92.
Don't do it like that.
92 for recycling bin.
Lil Dick, give us the rundown on this matchup.
This one's a little bit tougher than you think. I think a big question mark is that Mark Ingram having a shoulder injury coming in. He's a bit banged up. He had a lot of touches last week in a game that was just kind of a shit show, even though they kept throwing at the end of the game. Loved it for my team, but looked bad. He's playing Arizona. He's supposed to get a lot of touches. I think, though, Arizona, they're going to handle him. So I just don't see, if he's a little nicked up, I don't see why they're going to hand him the ball that much. So I think he has a lot less of a week. I think I'd see Gus Edwards more on the field. Justin Hill, good for you. True, maybe get him on the field a little bit for you. But I see Le'Veon just piping. Even though I love Cleveland, I think Le'Veon's going to have a really good week. I mean, he's just so versatile. I'm not quite sure how I like the substitution of Tom Brady over Kyler. I know Tom Brady's going to have an easy matchup, but I think that could be also very, bad for him. He might only throw 1 or 2 touchdowns. He might be out, he'll be on the field, but he might not be doing much. Kyler's going to be playing from behind most likely. Could be throwing a lot, but could have a lot of turnovers. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, given that, like you said, Mike, Danny Amendola, he's top 4. He's number 14 right now. He's the worst guy in the lineup right now, but week 1 guys don't tend to pop off all the time. But playing the Chargers just doesn't look not a good look here. Seattle could get tore up by Pittsburgh if they get back to how it is. I don't like them this week. Even with Ingram maybe having a down game, I'm still picking touchdowns. 117 to 101.
So it's another one we're going 4 rip on that one. Don't hate Ben's team. It's just those 3 big guys.
He's a good dude,
He's a good guy. Okay, so we got 2 matchups left. Now, this first matchup we're going to touch on is going to be our matchup of the week. Like I said, we're going to save our guests, obviously, their matchup last to predict. So the matchup of the week, we kind of went back and forth. We were thinking maybe Schrute versus Comerica. I think this is going to be the matchup of the week, the Poe Top, Colin Bottom versus Chubb's Stiffy Patrol. Couple of reasons here. 1, they're both 0-1, so the loser of this game is going to 0-2. That's a dark place to be. Now, obviously, Schrute Farms could go there as well, but one of these teams for sure is going to be 0-2. Other thing, there's a little history between these 2 teams. Just feel like maybe they don't always like each other. Who knows? We're going matchup of the week. Ben's going to break it down for us. He's going to break down the sponsor. Then he's going to give us our hot take on the matchup of the week. Poe Top, Colin Bottom, Chubb's Stiffy Patrol.
So, actually, this matchup of the week is sponsored by
Duracell, once again. Duracell has been with us since the start. Duracell, what can Brown do for you?
Yeah, I was pointing out, Mike. Thanks for bringing that up. But anyway, continuing. This is going to be a good matchup. They're throwing me a little off right now because Gio Bernard's in the lineup and not producing that many points. So right now, Connor Tenney is the favorite in this one. The key to this one is the New Orleans LA Rams game. If it is a shootout like we think it's going to be, I think this could really play into Chubb's Stiffy Patrol's favor here because obviously with Breeze, Gurley, and Cooks on your team, I expect Cooks to kind of ball out this week. I think everyone in the Rams balls out. I'm still hesitant on Gurley, very hesitant on Gurley, but I think we're going to get out. We're going to get double digits, maybe not that much more. McCaffrey obviously against the very suspect Tampa Bay defense, he's going to go off, obviously. I think the keys to this matchup are just going to be obviously that one game, like I said. His running backs. Con's running backs both have easy matchups this week, so I think that's also a key. But I think this is actually kind of a high-scoring game, kind of develops into kind of a shootout like the Rams and the New Orleans game. I think Ty loses another close one, 145 to 143.6.
Some nasty scoring in that matchup, and I like it. I kind of see a higher scoring game as well. I don't see it that high scoring. Looking kind of at Connor's team right now, you kind of look at it and you're like, it's kind of a makeshift lineup. Like, who in there? There's not really a big name player in that lineup for Connor. But I mean, I'm a big fan of Will Fuller. I like Zach Ertz to actually put up Zach Ertz-like numbers. But in this matchup, I think Cooper Kupp scores a couple touchdowns, potentially. We're all kind of predicting that big shootout in that Rams-Saints game, and I think it will happen. It's just a matter of, okay, are these touchdowns going to Cooper Kupp? Are they going to the receivers? Is Todd Gurley getting in the mix on that? Kind of a big key, I think, is I'm going to point to Todd Gurley. I think if he shows up, puts up some touchdowns like he did in years past, which we all know he's capable of doing, I think that gives Chubb's Stiffy Patrol the win in this, if he does that. And I don't think he's going to, so I'm going to go Poe top, Colin bottom on this one. I think Carson Wentz balls out here. I think we got not as high scoring of a game as Comerica said. I think we're going 128 for Poe top, Colin bottom. Chubb Stiffy loses another close one. Breaks his heart, 125. 128, 125 for Poe top.
Wow.
With another 0 on this kicker.
Well, for Chubb's end here, I'm just looking at this in a sense that there's not many players I like for Poe top, Colin bottom. I don't like them in the matchup of the player they're going across from in fantasy terms.
Yes,
break
that down, Mike Clay.
Although Cooper Kupp, I'm going to go a little different route with this. I think the New Orleans and Rams game, it's gassed up. We know they got good offenses. We know they score. I'm going to go with a 24-17 game, though. I'm really shooting this low. I don't know how we're going to get there. But I'm feeling a low-scoring game, but Cooper Kupp does find the end zone. Todd Gurley is the key to this game. If he finds the end zone once, he gets his yardage in there. I see this as a win for Chubbs. That's an unbiased take.
Here at the Hawk.
At the Hawk. I'm going to go with a lower-scoring game, actually, based off that Rams game. And I'm going to say it's a 121-119 tight game for Chubb.
Geez, so whoever wins this game, it's going to be tight. I've been curious to see what Lil Dicky's got on this one.
You say 120 to whatever is the low scoring game. All right, man, this is another tough matchup. I was very, very, very high on Sticky Patrol last week. I gave that backfield just like I think when I did my Blaze prediction. I think I gave him like 60 points. And I wasn't far from off because McCaffrey went absolutely bonkers. But I gotta break something down for you, man. I hate Brandon Cooks. I think Brandon Cooks is just capped, like exclusively capped hardcore this year, especially with Cooper Kupp back, Robert Woods. I mean, it really gets in the passing game, which we didn't see last week, but I think it's very possible. I think Cooks has a very low ceiling on the average day-to-day. I mean, he could definitely blow up. Obviously, he could go for 2 long touchdowns, and you're just, you cheer, or a lot of short passes, and you get a lot of PPR points. I just don't see it, man. Another guy, Delaney Walker, man. Get him a Walker, man. That's ancient. I don't think he can go. I don't think he can stay up and keep going that hard. Kenny Golladay, I mean, I got to give my boy Marvin Jones. They're both very good. Kenny Golladay, obviously more talented. I just don't see him. I think Chubb's receivers are just capped. I mean, each one of those guys got somebody across the field just as good, if not better than them. And I think that's hard. Looking back over at Elsa Sandwich, I love Will Fuller. I mean, Will Fuller's just my guy. I've always been a big fan of him. We saw the talent last week. He went up and got a couple good balls. I know they weren't going his way. They're going to Shanahan Nuke. But Godwin, I mean, Jameis threw for 200 yards and 3 picks, but somehow Godwin got that 1 touchdown and looked nice. I know people are saying all that Gio play, but Gio steps into that role for Mixon real nice. If Mixon plays, they're going to get them the ball more. They know Andy Dalton can't throw for 400 yards again. Josh Jacobs is just a bell cow. Ooh, I got to see. I mean, I see McCaffrey getting his. I see Gurley getting his too. But I'm going to go edge Connor here. I don't even know. I don't know if I want to predict it like 120 and 140. I think I got to go 130 to 125.
Very conflicted on that pick.
All close guesses.
That dark hole that I've been in multiple times in fantasy of the 0-2 start.
The dreaded 0-2. That's why and we're all predicting close scores, and that's what we're hoping with the matchup of the week each week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, a close second for the matchup of the week. Well, maybe a close third. We did plug the Schrute game, Comerica as well. But we're going Lil Dicky's matchup here with the Rick Rangers. This is going to be an exciting one for sure. The win probability that ESPN have, love that feature. It's giving 51% chance for Lil Dicky. I think this is the closest one I saw. We're going to start with Ben. Usually got great takes on these games, so we'll start with him.
Honestly, this is I think it hinges a lot on if Antonio Brown plays. If AB plays, I think I give the edge to Rupp in this one, just because I like Saquon to bounce back pretty big this week, and Lamar who come out this big week. I think everyone's kind of expecting him to come back to earth a little bit. I think he continues to play really, really well. Obviously with Sammy Watkins, with Hill out, I think he's going to ball out. But just on the other side, I don't like Kerryon Johnson. I think I've said that before. I just think that they use a lot of running backs in Detroit for no reason whatsoever. I think Evans does struggle at Carolina. And I do think that just overall the team kind of comes back to, not necessarily back to earth, but just kind of throws them a dud this week overall. So I'm going to take Lil Dicky in this one, 115 to 106.
I think that's I like that take on that as well. Now you say, I think Saquon puts up a big, better week, a bounce back week, which is funny to say because he put up 100 yards last week.
How many points did he put up? He put up 17.9. I think he goes for 30.
I see that too. I think Saquon Barkley gets a big touchdown run, something like that, where he goes closer to that 30-point mark, like a McCaffrey, like Kamara. I think Barkley puts up those big numbers. I don't know. I'm curious to see what Lamar Jackson does. That's kind of what my key take of this matchup is. Does he put up a couple touchdowns again? Does he come kind of down back to reality? Just rushes the ball. I think they're trying to have him throw more and not obviously run. That's what they said coming into this year. So we'll see. Now, Arizona's D, nothing special, so maybe he still does have another big week, and I think he will. That's why I'm going Lil Dicky Baller in this one. I think it'll be a modest, 120, 110 matchup. Not a huge blowout. It's a couple things with the Rick Rangers team quick. Like we kind of talked week one, Chris Carson, Kerryon Johnson, Nick Chubb, maybe not all great PPR running backs. They're good running backs overall. But some of those, those weeks like we saw Nick Chubb, what did he have, 60 yards rushing, not a catch, maybe one catch. If he doesn't score, he's got kind of a low ceiling on that. Robert Woods, I think, could have a big game. Obviously, we're back to that Saints game again, scoring-wise. But Mike Evans on Thursday night, we'll see him tomorrow night. Can he show up and actually put up wide receiver one numbers? I don't think he's that this year, so I am going, like I said, 120 Lil Dicky, 110 for Rick Rangers.
Stiffy, what do we think?
Looking at this, I didn't think I would say this coming into the year, but Lamar Jackson's he's gonna have another good game. And it's not that I thought he'd be bad, but wasn't expecting him to really roll into the year on a hot note. I think he drops a 30 bomb to get that ball rolling, full swing. Barkley, like the guys said, easy 25. The key player I see, and this is kind of a wacky one, James White. I know he's not a bad player by any means. His receptions are going to be up this week. I see him almost going for 10 receptions against that suspect Miami defense. He is going to tear them a new one. I really just see, even if Antonio Brown is out, that might impact the overall score. It doesn't impact who the winner is. I don't even need to talk about Rick Rangers' team. Mike Evans, I think he does ball out this week. Kerryon, he doesn't catch the ball. Nick Chubb, he doesn't catch the ball. Dak Prescott, 250 yards, maybe a touchdown or two. Not bad. Not going to win you a game. I'm going with Dicky Baller. I'm going to go with a 124.3. And Rick Rangers, I see him 111.2.
All right, Lil Dicky, what do you think about your matchup, buddy?
Man, this is always where it's hard because, over here, with you guys hot, you got to try to be unbiased. But I can't. I fucking love my team. I think Lamar's point, he's got a great matchup. I think that Arizona secondary with Peterson out, oh my God. look at him to tear it up. I hope he gets the laser on him a little bit more. I get him the edge, I'll scramble him, maybe 35, 40 this week again. Oh, God. Saquon, that Buffalo D, they're not sorry, but, I mean, Saquon had 120 rushing yards on 11 touches, and yeah, he busted one for 59 yards on one touch. Take that away. 10 rushes, 60 yards, 6 yards of carry. Get that man more than 10 carries, goddammit.
Feed
Get
him.
that man the ball. Yeah. James White, it's scary. Because, I mean, he had 5 receptions in the first half versus Pittsburgh, and then he was a GOAT. I think that was kind of an FU to the pit to Pittsburgh. I think Belichick was like, fuck you, we're going to let the little white boy run all over you. I think we see James White starting to show more in this game, even if it's up big. Antonio Brown, please get on the field, baby. I need you. I want him. I don't know. Did he do it? Did he not? We won't know. I don't think he's on the field, though. So I'm looking at my bench here. I think I'd probably put in somebody like, maybe Marvin Jones, hopefully get maybe a touchdown again or something. Sammy Watkins, though, he's filling in that role, Mike. I mean, he is hosting people, man. Let's go. Evan Engram, a lot of balls his way. Emmanuel Sanders, I mean, I don't know. I don't like depending on Flacco, but he's all I got right now. Well, looking over at Rick Rangers, I mean, coming into the podcast, just listening to you guys talk, I was actually going to pick Rick to win this one. I don't know. Dak Prescott, no way he goes to 404 again. Nick Chubb, maybe bounces back, maybe doesn't. I could see, Cleveland getting Baker back in the rhythm of things, throwing the ball more, getting him, some confidence after having kind of a rough game. Chris Carson, people don't give him enough credit. I mean, he did have 6 receptions last week and touchdown off the receiving end, too. I think he has him last week again. I think Pittsburgh's sorry this year for a couple games. Mike Evans, that Thursday night game, I mean, Jameis Smith threw 3 picks and 2 pick sixes. He threw more touchdowns than the other team than he did his own. That's tough. And he's got a short week to turn it around. I don't know. I see Evans getting a lot of balls, but I don't see him coming down with a lot. They don't get point per target in the league, those selection. So Robert Wood, I think he gets a score. I think that's a really high-scoring game, even though Sticky doesn't think so. Darren Waller, oh, man, that dude's athletic as shit. He gets anything he wants in the field. I think he has a good week. Carry on playing against the Chargers. I don't like it. Oh, I was gonna go with Rick, but I can't. I'm in love with my team. I think I gotta go Real Dixie Baller, going 2-0. I don't think I dropped 150. I think I dropped 125. Rick Rangers 117.
Bold. I think we're all in agreement there, though. That one we're all 4-0-2, and Rick Rangers does need to come up with some points here, because if he doesn't, I mean, that's that 0-2, that hole we've been talking about. That would be Little Dicky would be in a good spot going to week 3. Well, we're going to transition to then. That takes care of all of the matchups. Next segment we want to do is our Boomer Bust players. We'll keep Chris around for that last segment here, the Boomer Bust players. But like you all know, this segment is, who we think is going to pop off. Obviously, it's not your Alvin Kamaras, your Saquon Barkleys. We know they're going to put up their numbers. We want to dig for a couple of players that they're going to actually pop off that we don't all expect. Now, I had a good example last week. Will Fuller, if he scores that bomb they throw to him over the middle, if Deshaun Watson leads him a little bit, that's a touchdown. That would have been a boom of the week. Kind of didn't really put up what I was expecting, but we'll see if we can pick him a little bit better this week. We're going to start with our Boomer Bust, which is sponsored by Top Flight, the number 6 golf ball in golf. Go to their website, plug in promo code THEHAWK. Probably not going to get anything, but try it out. You never know. We're going to start with our Boomer Bust then here. We're rolling with Big Ben. I think he's got a good boom for this week. What do we got?
I got a very bold one. Like for my end, I went Duke Johnson last week. It was very, very wrong. But I'm going to go with Devin Singletary from the Bills, who seemed to take over that starting role last week. He's not in a starting lineup.
Love that.
He's not a starting lineup right now, but if you're listening, maybe you want to go with him. But it seemed like he really took over that role. They're playing the Giants. I think it's going to be a kind of a, I'm not saying a boring game, but I think both teams just kind of suck, so I think they're both going to run at each other. I don't know. I'm thinking he had 4 carries for 70 yards, so if you kind of quantify that over a whole game, I'm going to say 15 carries, 140 yards with about 6 catches for 30 yards and a rushing touchdown.
That man is putting the squad on his back.
And I think the Bills beat the Giants, and I guess an upset. They're on the road.
They are on the road. Stiffy looks like he's been thinking all night on this pick here. This is a boom of the week, I think.
This guy's critical, to this matchup. If I believe I did pick him to win in this matchup. Not positive, but no, I did not. If this man wants his team to win, pump and dump, John Brown. I think that's the guy.
Same game. Hey, here we go.
John Brown, he needs to just bend that defense over in New York. Jay Brown, you go for 16 plus. I think Pump and Dump does have a chance and a very good chance, but he is going to need 16 at that flex. You heard it here at the Hawk.
All right, I'm staying same matchup as far as Pump and Dump. I like this team tracks, that tight end position. Jared Cook, a couple catches week 1 maybe. I think this man comes out and puts up 2 scores against that LA Rams D. I don't think the yardage is there, but I see 2 scores. I see maybe 6 grabs for 60. That's talking 6, 12, 18, 24 points from Jared Cook in that New Orleans LA Rams game. Boom of the week, Jared Cook.
All right, well, Diggy, what do you think is your boom of the week?
I hate to pick a guy that goes back-to-back weeks, but I got to go with my old guy, Will Fuller. I mean, even when he was on the field, you saw Sammy Watkins, a guy who you didn't think was going to drop 50 points in a week, go off. I think all eyes on Hopkins trying to make him stop you. I think Will Fuller just popped off this week. We saw a glimpse of it last week. I mean, this dude, out of 15 games with Deshaun Watson, has 12 touchdowns. I think he gets back on a roll this week. I think he gets about 150 yards, 5 catches, and maybe a touchdown.
Boom of the week, Will Fuller. I love that pick. He's like the perfect guy for it, too, because he can go. They use him as their deep threat, so I love that. We're going to go to now, not a happy note here. It's the bust of the week. Now, the bust of the week is someone that they don't get their projected score. We don't hope anyone gets injured or anything, but sometimes that happens in fantasy football. I will start with my bust of the week. I don't even know why I said that injury thing because I don't think he's going to get injured, but I think David Johnson here at Baltimore, play him that Sunday at noon. I just don't see a big week out of David Johnson. I do see a couple catches. I don't see him finding the end zone. I think David Johnson goes for 9 points, 9.6, when this man should be getting easily double digits. Bust of the week, DJ. What do we got, Stiffy?
I'm staying in the same matchup that I had earlier. He didn't have a great first week, but I feel like around the league the talk is he's going to bounce back. I don't see it. Damian Williams. If you think Kansas City's getting ahead, they should really take it to that Oakland defense, which you think Damian's getting more touches. I'm not saying he's going to be bad, but I think he's going to not do much in this matchup. Realistically, I think he gets about 35 yards on the ground. I don't see him playing well. He is a major bust. That comes from our sponsor, Pornhub. And we'll swing it over to Comerica now.
Okay, that was a very
that might be the
plug.
Bit of the week.
It might be the bit of the week, or 10-second soundbite here. Mine is actually, I don't know if it's a bold bust, but I'm going to go with Chris Carson playing at Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh comes out a little angry in this one because he just got,
Ravaged.
I was going to say a different word, but thank you for saying that.
Yes.
I think that they for all the bad that went down in the entire game, obviously, they kind of shut down Sony Michel. I think that run D is going to be pretty stout. I'd say, I don't think Pittsburgh's going to have a horrible game. I don't think he finds the end zone, but I think he only has 35 rushing yards. Again, we don't wish injuries on anyone, but this dude has an injury history. Could happen.
Ankle maybe?
Ankle maybe. But no catches in the passing game either. 35 yards, 3.5 points. Actually, he has a fumble too, so 1.5 points.
Bold pick, but that's what we're known for here at The Hawk. We're going to send it to Lil Dicky. This is going to be his bust of the week. We do want to thank him, too, for stopping on before he gives us his bust of the week. We do appreciate it. We know it's nerve-wracking being the first guest here, too. We've been trending, so, a lot of people do hear the show as well. We'll send it to you. Any last thoughts after you give the bust of the week? Feel free, and then we'll probably sign off with you after that.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I'm always available. I don't do shit. Right.
That's what we need. It's like the Adam Schefter of our league.
Yeah, I try. So my bust of the week, he's going to have another bad week, and it sucks. We're going to pump and dump James Conner. That whole line, I mean, he got 10 touches, 20 yards, supposed to be your premier back. I mean, I'm looking here, what did he go for, $50? I mean, 50 flat. That's a quarter of your team, and he's putting up 2 points. I mean, that Pittsburgh team, they're a little shook. They're not doing super well. And they're playing Seattle. I mean, just look for the JV and Clowney just to be in the backfield, lighten it up. That run defense looks nice. I think James Conner just has an abysmal week again. I could be wrong. I could be right. I like to think I'm related.
Hey, by the way, hot take, James Conner's not good at football. So
We were guaranteed we'd get that this week. That is Chris's bust of the week. We're going to sign off with him now. You can find him, though, on the Blazed Up in Smoke. We do enjoy, that's our favorite little bit to read here each week. We hope that continues for the season.
you got anyone you want to plug Quick Rup? Any sponsors or anything like that?
I just want to shout out the Hawks, man. I got no sponsors. I didn't bring anybody in this week. I'm sorry. I'm a poor motherfucker here.
You know what? It took us a long time to get here. I think that Blazed Up in Smoke is going to take off. You keep working hard on that. We'll keep reading it. We appreciate you, and we'll be in touch with you in the next couple weeks here, my man.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good luck, buddy.
Thanks, man.
So that's our hot take here on the matchups, our boom or bust players. Like I said, that's going to be continuous. We're going to do that every single week. Playoffs roll around. We're still going to be doing that even if we're eliminated. Hopefully neither of us on the show, none of us on the show are eliminated. Final kind of thoughts here. We're going to continue to do this each week. Final thoughts on this, just on the season, anything like that. We are going to try to answer some of your questions too. I was trying to find some of them on the YouTube. I searched the Hawk. I couldn't find the podcast. So remember to like, subscribe, share this. We need to get out there. I just did a basic YouTube search and I didn't find us. So I would expect a little more subscribers. Try to get that out. Let your folks know. Have them listen to it. But we'll get to some questions next week. I know we did have some from the commish. The recycling bin threw some up there. We're going to answer those. One, maybe if I'm remembering off the top of my head, was maybe the commish wanted to know what some of our best buys of the draft were. Now, it's tough to say this early in the season, obviously, because we're going to get 10 weeks in and we're going to be like, oh, Tariq Cohen was picked for $1 and he's the number 9 running back. That's a good buy in my opinion. It's kind of luck as well. Couple of initial thoughts, if you guys have those, on good buys from the draft. Obviously, like I said, I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Couple that come to my mind right away is, I don't know if Antonio Brown necessarily for under 50 is a good, what did he go, like 45 maybe?
44, 48.
That's not like a terrible buy in my opinion if he ends up being like a top 5 receiver. Obviously, usually your top 5 receivers are going for like $60 around that range. So if you get one at like $44, that's kind of my potentially good buy in the season. Like I said, it's so hard to say right now, so early. Comerica, any that pop out to you right away?
I know that Tyler Boyd for $5 was a big talking point, but you're not even using him, so it's kind of hard to say right now. Overall,
I think Austin Eckler.
Right now is a great buy. Like I said, it's so hard to tell at the beginning of the season. I think, and this is gonna sound crazy, Zeke at 58 I think was kind of a steal in my opinion. He went as much as David Johnson. It's like, who would you rather have kind of a thing. I think he's gonna end up being the best value pick of the draft, going below $60, and I think he has a chance to finish as the number 1 running back. Obviously, based on the last week, I think they were kind of limiting him. That'd be my best buy as of right now.
I don't want to. Gosh, if I give this man one more compliment, it's gonna go to his head. He's gonna think I like him. I don't, even though I'm not biased. So that is why I'm gonna give you some love here. I'm not sure on the dollar amount. He could be a big factor in your team. Tyrell Williams. Dirty Downs, if that Antonio Brown, that move, it really helps you out. Tyrell Williams, I don't know how much he went for. Maybe if one of my counterparts knows, I don't.
He went for
I think Tyrell's going to be anywhere.
$1.
Yeah.
He went for $1, and that man, he could be a staple on that team. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does. Obviously, he's not going to drop 20 every week, but if he can stay consistent even at that 14, 13, wherever he falls, I think that could be huge pickup for Dirty Downs. And that's maybe the last nice thing I say about your team.
I think two on that same team, the touchdowns, Mark Ingram for like under 20. I want to say he went, I'm looking at $19. I think if Mark Ingram, obviously this is such a small sample size, we're going off of 1 week, so we are overreacting a little bit. But if this guy does turn out, 15 touchdowns on the year and goes for like 15 to 20 a week, I think that's another great pick.
Yep.
Other than that, it's tough to say like bad buys of the draft as well. Some guys that like initially went that high, usually what ends up being a bad buy in the draft is that guy that's picked for like 50 or 60 and he's hurt for like half the year. Yeah. Obviously that's like an obvious one for a bad buy. Other than that, kind of going into week 2, what do we expect here, boys? Any big thoughts? Or I think we touched on most of them throughout the podcast.
Well, I don't know. Good luck to you, man, this week. It's always a friendly competition we have in here. I haven't been able to beat you in this league. I look to be over the hump this week for sure.
I typically don't lose to Ben. I'd like to point back actually to a couple seasons ago. It's a different league, obviously, but it started in Thursday night when I started. I don't even remember his name at tight end. I think it was Larry Donnell.
If you want to go back that far, that's like 4 or 5 years ago, but. My dog had Eli Manning and Larry Donnell, and he was up, I think, somewhere near 74-0 after Thursday.
Larry Donnell, if I remember correctly, had a couple touchdowns.
3.
Eli Manning, did he rush for one potentially?
He threw for 4 and ran for 1.
That was some dark times. I don't see Big Ben Comerica beating me this week. I do like the change of name with 9/11 here. Kind of sounds like United States of America. I don't know if that's where we're going, but much respect to that. Other than that, that's all we got for you at the Hawk. Like I said, leave some reviews, comments, and stuff. We probably won't listen to any of them, but keep them there. We are the most unbiased show.
iTunes, Spotify, Mixer.
Let your girlfriends know.